Hey, everybody. How's it going? Want to make sure you can hear me okay. And we'll just give a little bit of time for people to hop in. Okay. And tonight, I think I'm going to start off with this Todd Alcott horror deck. And we're just going to wait and see how many people decide to hop on. And I'm just going to do live readings for you guys. So if you have any questions, these can be any kind of questions. They can be, if you're here because you like the readings I do about politics, woo! It can be about that. If you have a personal question, it can be about that. Just remember, it's really hard to determine length of time. So if a question is like, when is this going to happen? That's going to be really hard to say. But just any questions that you have, think about them, and we'll just start answering questions and pulling cards and doing readings. Okay. How is everybody doing tonight? I just took my kiddos to a trunk or treat at their school. And I have to say there were some really adorable costumes that were there. Really, really adorable. My youngest is in the 6th grade. And so this was her last trunk or treat. So it was kind of bittersweet. Okay, so if you guys have any questions, go ahead and drop them into the comment or into the chat. Oh, okay, I see one right here for Cheryl Brown. Will Debbie M. Powell beat Rick Scott in Florida? So I did do a reading on this that was, I think it was my first Senate race video, and I believe that one, if I'm not mistaken, Debbie Powell did beat Rick Scott. But let's pull some cards to just get some energy, okay? So tonight I'm using the Todd Alcott horror deck, horror tarot. And we're going to do a couple cards here. So the first card that we have is the 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles talks about being at your lowest point. You know what? I want to ask a more specific question too. Let's see here. How do I want to ask this question? Will Rick Scott win in Florida? That's what we're going to ask, okay? Will Rick Scott win in Florida? Okay. A bunch of cards pop out. Okay, so the 2 that we're going to take here are, we have the Knight of Pentacles reversed, and we have the Queen of Swords. Now, this is really interesting energy because I would really take this as that Knight of Pentacles reversed energy being that Rick Scott energy, and this Queen of Swords as being that Debbie Powell energy. Just looking at this, it looks like Debbie Powell is going to end up being victorious because, she's standing here. If you look at the image, she's standing here looking over in power, in control of this situation. Whereas the Knight of Pentacles is reversed. And when we have that Knight of Pentacles reversed, that's someone who's not focused. So I think this one, I really feel like this is a Debbie Powell victory. So there we go. If you have just joined us, we're just throwing questions in the chat, and we're just going to pull some cards and see what we can get. And I'm actually going to switch cards. I was using the Todd Alcott Horror Tarot, but it's not shuffling well. So we're going to switch to the Pulp Tarot. Okay, so let's see what else we can see. There's been some really interesting things going on with politics lately, one of the biggest things is we're seeing, Biden made the comment about Trump supporters being garbage, and you're welcome. And Trump, or saying that Trump supporters are garbage, and the Dems are saying that he misspoke and that wasn't really what he meant, and the Republicans are like, that's exactly what he meant, and so it's a mess. But what I want to do is let's pull 3 cards to see, is that gaffe by Biden going to affect Kamala's campaign or her, her chances of getting elected. Let's see if that's going to have an impact at all. So is Biden's gaffe going to have an impact at all on Kamala and her campaign? Let's see what we get here. Okay, so the first card that we have here is the Tower reverse. So that's not great. That's not great. That's not a great way to start off. Yeah, okay. So the next card we have is that 5 of Pentacles. 5 of Pentacles is not being in a good situation. It's being in a situation where this can be, you're hard on your luck, you're destitute. It can also be a lot of emotions about not feeling security or stability. Okay. And then the third card that we have is the Knight of Pentacles reversed. The Knight of Pentacles reversed in this deck, well, not reversed, but the Knight of Pentacles card in this deck, I have always said this is very much Trump energy. When I see this card, it's just like, because it almost like, it doesn't look like him, but it gives, I think, the vibe that he would like to project. So whenever I see this card, I'm like, okay, that's a Trump card. So yeah, I do think that Biden's comment, whether he meant it the way he said it or whether he misspoke and meant it in a different way, whatever it was that he was saying, it definitely is going to impact in some way. There are going to be people whose, I think, votes change because of that comment. So now let's take a peek at the other side of the fence here. And you guys, if you're just joining me, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the chat. So the next question that we're going to ask here is all about the Trump rally at Madison Square Garden. Okay. So the question we're going to ask is, did that comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, is that his name? Did his comedy set, is that going to impact the election? Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so sorry. My dogs are fighting. Okay, so let's take a peek and see what we can find about if Tony Hinchcliffe making that joke about the floating island of trash in the ocean. Yeah, okay. I don't want to repeat it. Just okay, so the first card that we have is the Hermit reverse. So yeah, this is pulling within, and this is also, this can be immaturity. This is not making a sound decision. Okay. The next card we have is the World card reverse. So this is looking at, are the comments that Tony, I think Hinchcliffe is his name, are these going to affect the Trump chances of winning? And so first we have that Hermit reverse, and then we have the World reverse. And the third card that we have is the 3 of Cups reversed. So absolutely, it's going to have an impact. And it's interesting because when we have the World reversed, this talks about something that's not being completed, a cycle that isn't completed. So I'm wondering, dogs, oh my God. Look at her. You can see her on the camera. She's biting his face off. That's so terrible. They're vicious dogs back there. Okay. So, yeah, that's what I think about that. I think it is going to impact the election. And I think that, it might end up being what prevents the cycle from being closed, which the cycle that would be closed would be, I think, the election. So that's going to be really interesting. So if you guys have any questions, this does not have to be just political. It can be any question. We're just answering questions. Drop it in the chat.